Hello, and welcome back to Spectacular Specimens. My name is Dr. Katherine O'Brien, and I work at the Museum of Biological Diversity. Every week, we share with you a specimen from our collections. Each of these specimens and stories is paired with books from the Grandview Heights Public Library. To check out the list of books, look at the description below this video and follow the links to the public library. This week, we will be talking about an animal you're all very familiar with, mammals.
My name is Danielle Parsons, and I'm a PhD student in the Carson's Lab at the Ohio State Museum of Biological Diversity. One of the things that our lab is interested in exploring is the question of how many species of mammals currently exist in the world. And at first glance, this may seem like a really simple question. Mammals in particular have had a long history of being studied by scientists, partly because of the fact that we are mammals, and it's only natural to want to know more about ourselves. But what scientists have discovered over time is that answering this question of how many mammals can actually get pretty tricky. This is because as technology advances and we find new ways to investigate the world around us, oftentimes we discover things are much more diverse than we originally thought. And being able to discover hidden diversity in really unexpected places is what makes mammals such an exciting group to work with. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about my favorite group of mammals, shrews. Shrews are extremely small mammals with very long pointed snouts, sharp teeth, and huge appetites. So huge, in fact, that they have to eat 1 to 3 times their body weight a day just to survive. And while it may look a lot like your typical mouse or rat, shrews aren't actually rodents. Instead, they're in their own family, called Cericidae, which is much more closely related to hedgehogs and moles. And shrews are a really great example of how looks can be deceiving, because at first glance, most shrews look exactly the same. But despite their outward similarity, shrews are incredibly diverse. With around 400 different species and a near global distribution, Cericidae is the 4th largest family of mammals. While small, its members are extremely fierce predators, and their near constant need for food has led to a variety of strange and truly remarkable adaptations. One example is the northern short-tailed shrew, Blurina brevicata. This particular shrew is common throughout central and eastern North America and can even be found right here in Ohio. This particular shrew is one of the few venomous mammals alive today. It secretes venom from the salivary glands of its lower jaw to paralyze its prey, which includes not only insects and worms, but also animals much closer to its own size, like salamanders, mice, and even other shrews. Unlike snakes and spiders, which are able to inject their venom, the short-tailed shrew relies on specialized grooves in its lower teeth to chew its venom into its prey. And if being chewed on by a shrew sounds unpleasant to you, there's no need to worry, because despite being the largest shrew in North America, short-tailed shrews are still small enough that their bite won't do much more than sting the average person. While undoubtedly impressive, venom is just one of the many extraordinary adaptations found in shrews. The hero shrew, Scuteosaurus semeneri, externally looks very similar to the short-tailed shrew. However, internally, you'll find one of the strangest backbones in the animal kingdom. Native to Central Africa, the hero shrew's vertebrae are both unusually numerous and extra thick, with added protrusions that allow them to interlock, giving them the strongest spine relative to body mass of any known animal. It's been reported that a hero shrew can withstand the weight of a full-grown man on its back. That's like me or you holding 10 elephants on our back, so it's pretty impressive. While it's thought that their unusual spines help them forage for insects, little is currently known about their ecology and lifestyle. Finally, we'll move on to my favorite group of shrews, the North American water shrews. These shrews can be found all across North America, and not only are they the world's smallest diving mammal, but they also have a whole suite of adaptations that allow them to excel at foraging underwater. Their fur is lined with air to make them more buoyant, and they have a row of stiff guard hairs on their hind feet to propel them while swimming. They're also one of the few mammals with the ability to smell underwater. While originally thought to be the single species Sorex palustris, after taking a closer look at their genetics and geographic distribution, researchers have since determined the North American water shrew is not just one but several species. My research in particular is looking at a combination of genomic, environmental, and morphological data to investigate the evolutionary history of this group and determine if there is more hidden diversity yet to be found. We hope that this work is another step towards understanding how many mammals there are in the world, which will not only help us better understand the evolutionary processes that generate species, but also ensure that we're doing all that we can to protect and conserve the species around us.
Thanks, Danielle. So Danielle told us a little bit about some of the most diverse animals that we can find on the planet today, but let's check in with my colleague Jonathan to learn about mammals in the fossil record.
My name is Dr. Jonathan Calede. I'm an assistant professor at The Ohio State University, where I study ancient mammals. When you think of mammals, you probably think of the dogs and cats in our homes. You may also think about the elephants and giraffes you can see at the zoo, or the raccoon and possum in our streets. You probably do not think about rodents. You should. Rodents are much more than rats and mice or the squirrels in our yards. They are actually the most diverse group of mammals on Earth. There are over 2,500 species of rodents across the world. 4 in 10 mammals are rodents. They come in all kinds of shapes and sizes. The smallest rodent weighs only zero point 0.1 ounce, barely more than a penny. The largest one, up to 150 pounds. There are rodents that glide, swim, run, hop, and dig. The diversity of rodents is even greater in the fossil record. There used to be buffalo-sized rodents in South America. Even here, in Ohio, we used to have a bear-sized beaver. Yes, the giant beaver that went extinct about 12,000 years ago lived in Ohio and across much of the United States. It is even named after the state. Castoroides ohioensis, as it is known to scientists, weighed over 200 pounds, the size of a black bear. By comparison, the modern beaver, the largest rodent in North America, only weighs about 45 pounds. Unlike its modern relative, the giant beaver did not cut down trees or build dams. Instead, it fed on aquatic vegetation. In fact, the giant beaver and the smaller North American beaver are sometimes found to have lived in the same place. They could live together because they used different resources. If you wish you could stumble upon a giant beaver like Native Americans did, think about your everyday habits. The giant beaver probably went extinct because of shrinking habitat as a consequence of climate change. Not all fossil rodents are giant, but some are truly unusual. There are rodents with horns in the fossil record. Yes, in fact, my colleague and I just published a new species of one such horned rodent. There are only 6 species known in the world, all from the Western United States. What were those horns used for? Well, the horns are actually placed on the nose of the animal, just like the horns of a rhinoceros. Unlike the horns of a rhino, though, which are made of keratin, the same material as your hair and nails, the horns of the rodents had a bony core covered by a sheath, just like cows. The position of the horns would have made them useless in fighting with other rodents like bucks do during mating season. These animals were also mostly blind, like moles, and there is no evidence that males and females looked any different. The shape of these horns would have made them terrible shovels too, so they were not for burrowing. We think they help defend the animal against predators. The horns evolved in some of the largest rodents of this group, animals that were so big they could not search for food underground extensively like their smaller relatives that fed on roots and tubers. Instead, they had to forage for plants on the surface, and that made them vulnerable to predators. What dog, cat, or weasel would not find these 4-pound critters tasty? We actually find that as the horned rodents got larger, their horns actually became larger faster. So the largest horned rodents had larger horns than expected for their size. This is a feature seen in horned lizards today, and they use their horns to defend against predators. We uncover new species of fossil rodents every year that give scientists a unique insight into the incredible history of mammals on Earth.
Thanks for tuning in this week. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up. And if you want to make sure never to miss another Spectacular Specimens video, you can go ahead and subscribe to this channel. We look forward to seeing you next week, where we're going to be talking about the plants that you can find in your backyard.